Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live this International Women's Day. Well, International Women's Day here in Asia Pacific, but of course, in a day from now, it'll be in Americas and across the globe. But without further ado, and before we start, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we live, create, and learn on today, paying respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Like I said, it is now finally the day of our International Women's Day week stream extravaganza. So it is the 8th of March. It's a Friday, and happy International Women's Day. And who better to celebrate this wonderful day with than Gabby? How are you doing today, Gabby?
Hello, I'm very good. Excited for the stream.
Excellent. Now, the year's theme today is Inspire Inclusion. I'll mention that at the top because I'm sure that's something that we might talk about throughout the stream, and I definitely want to hear about how Pink Pony is celebrating as well. But before we get into any of that, how about you introduce yourself? Tell us a little about what you do, yeah.
So I'm Gabby or Gabrielle, and I am a graphic designer that I guess specializes in illustration and branding. I actually work for Pink Pony, which is a graphic design company and agency down in Little New Zealand, and we are topically a fully female company, woman run, woman led. And we basically work with companies all over the world, branding, packaging, anything they need. We will do our best to get it done amazingly. And we specialize in creative, fun, playful, bold, anything that the client needs, essentially.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. And speaking of Pink Pony, hello, Christy. And I believe also Jess Scott might be one of your co-workers.
My girl, Jess.
Amazing. They are in chat. Christy's saying, going to cry, proud mama pony, and Gabby, you go girly from Jess. So we've got the full support in the chat. Love to see it.
Amazing.
And hello, of course, also to Flynn taking care of us as mods today, and Alessandra. Lovely to see you in chat. And as always, if you have any questions for us throughout the stream, post them in chat. We're live on Behance and on YouTube. So post them there and we'll do our best to answer them as well. And a little birdie has told me that Adobe Express Mobile launched today. Whether it is the beta or the full launch, I'm not 100% certain, but who is 100% certain is Flynn. He'll be taking any Adobe Express mobile questions in the chat. So feel free to ask them to him. But I think that is everything for top level housekeeping. Why don't we get into the project today?
Amazing. So my project that I'm going to take you guys through today is actually for a current or past client that we've actually worked with for Pink Pony. They're called Sozo Payments. So you can see here on my screen, we have a general overlook at their brand. For the company, the brief was something playful, personable, and something that essentially their clientele will be able to resonate with. They are a company that works with small businesses, entrepreneurs, and sole traders, working with them and their finances, their payment plans, and essentially how they get paid as a small company, which for a lot of smaller businesses is something that you don't really think about or you're not necessarily the most sure on how to do. So with the branding, we kind of wanted to create something obviously that's clean, clear, and that really got across the message of the brand, but also that was a little bit more playful, added an element of accessibility for people, and that made it a bit more approachable, especially for small businesses that, you know, don't necessarily know how to start or are just getting started and really want to work with a company that makes them feel as though they can get started easily, if that makes sense. Yeah, so today what we're going to do is we're going to go into the branding and essentially create some new assets. So some new illustrations for them to use for International Women's Week, or today, International Women's Day. And we're going to create some female-based graphics. As you can see here, we have a wee library of little people that are the style is very abstract, not necessarily super detailed. And we've kind of done this so that the clients or the people that they want to sign up with them are able to really feel like they can connect to the characters. They can kind of imbue what they want to feel through them, like be like, oh, I can relate to that. So we've got our kind of surface level characters here that are essentially just fun, playful. There's nothing too specific about them. And then we do have a little bit of a suite down here where the characters are a bit more detailed. They're set in a specific scene. A lot of them are sole trading jobs, like waiters. We've got a hairdresser there. A lot of sole trader hairdressers work. Gym, personal trainers, your little food trucks. There's so many different little options of things to kind of look at. And they're very, they're abstract. They work with shapes. They're playful, but they're still clean. They still give that feel of, we're a serious company. As fun as these are, it's not like they're scribbled or doodly, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so what I have done is I've actually gone into Photoshop and done some sketches. I whipped out the Wacom, however you say it, and did a couple of wee sketches for some new characters I'm going to draw that will be specific for the brand. We've got a wee dancer, we've got a beauty guru or cosmetician, and then we also have a pet groomer, because there are actually so many pet groomers out there. And I mean, living in Sydney as well, just after moving here, the amount of beautiful designer dogs that are in the city, wild. You would not see it in New Zealand. Sorry, New Zealand. But it is different.
Yeah, step up, New Zealand.
Yes. Give me the designer dogs.
Yeah.
But we will get started.
Excellent. And do you always, when you're doing your illustration work, do you start with a sketch on paper? Do you start with a sketch digitally? Do you go straight into it?
It depends on the styling, to be honest. I will, based on the styling, do a lot of different things. Here, I usually will sketch everything digitally if I can. For a lot of these bad boys, like if we look at some of the simpler ones, they were all built using shapes kind of just from scratch. And because they're built with shapes, you can kind of like, again, this is not going to be anything good, but you can kind of play around with building, a general feel. You can add little bits on, like to get a general look of what you want, and then you can play around with adding the details. Whereas if I was going to do something more detailed, whether it be in a sketched style, something that uses half tones, I'd use a kind of different situation. I'd go for photo reference. For a lot of things, we'll use like real photo references to then create them digitally, make them a bit more playful, a bit more chunky, but go off of something real. But this is like this style of illustration. It's different because it is so conceptual. You can't really, you can base it off of real, a dancer, a beautician, and a person who grooms dogs. But in terms of how they look, you've got to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more whimsical and kind of just go with the flow a bit more, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll get started. Ooh, I've got this little guy here just so I can keep my lines all the same width and make sure everything is reasonably clean. We're going to create this shape randomly, but then I will probably alter it a bit. With these, they're clean graphics, but for most of them, what I actually did do, like this, again, does not look good, but I didn't want them to be too stiff, if that makes sense, because they are very shape-based. Having them too stiff, it doesn't necessarily make them look cheap, but it makes them look a little bit, it makes them look a little bit more standardized.
Yeah, generic, kind of clip arty instead of, bespoke.
This gives them a little bit more
illustrations. Yeah,
exactly, a little bit more considered, a little bit more not handmade, but they're obviously a small company that really cares about their clientele, and having it feel a little bit more tailored makes it a little bit more fun.
Absolutely.
And that's why I will use a little bit more fun. Oh, I can hear your dog. Is that your dog? Maybe not. It could be another dog outside, to be fair. Again, I do live around a lot of dogs. But yeah, just going in and using the pen tool. I also will use the pencil tool every now and again, or go in directly, like for some of the hair for these ones, I'll go in directly and use the little paintbrush wherever she is. But for a lot of these, I'll be using the curve tool, playing around with the anchors to get that look that I want, cropping and pasting. It is all very symmetrical, kind of shape based.
Yeah, for sure.
Making little hands. I might actually widen those a bit. Good. Love some fingers.
Yeah, that is incredible how quickly you managed to draw a hand.
It's so conceptual. So, and again,
true,
I spent,
but still, it was very impressive. As you know, hands are one of the potentially most challenging things.
I can understand that
for us as artists and designers to draw. So yeah, I'm impressed.
Amazing. Well, I'm hopefully, Christy's in the stream doing her proud.
Absolutely.
My boss is watching.
Yeah, we have a question from Christy, so perfect timing. Did you do a university degree, or are you self-taught?
That is a good question from her. We've had many conversations about this, actually. I went to university, but I did not go to university for graphic design, actually. I went to university for digital design, which is visual effects, animation, VR, bunch of random ones there. But so I wouldn't say I'm self-taught. I started in illustration, like very illustration heavy, playful stuff. And then I actually got a job with Pink Pony after finishing up at my job at a digital design firm.
Incredible.
And learned on the job with Christy, taught myself what I could through illustration and through the animation I did there, obviously using Adobe, not Express, Adobe After Effects. Click on that one there. Adobe After Effects. I knew Adobe Suite very well. I created a lot of assets in here for illustrations and animated things that I would be doing. But I basically learnt on the job with her, learnt everything I could, still learning a lot. And yeah, worked on my own processes, which you could probably see, you're like, what is she doing? Why is she doing it like that? But, everyone has their own way. And it's super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You've hit the nail on the head with this is just how I do it. It might not be the best way to do it, but this is how I do it, which is if we had Adobe Live Bingo, that would be the most used spot on the bingo card, because I think almost every time we have, whether they're new or a returning guest, we will have this is just how I do it.
It's just that like little safety net. You're like,
absolutely,
just so you know. What was I going to say? I was actually talking to my partner last night, and I said to him, look, how I do some of my things in design, it's like when you take a math test at high school and you get the answer, but when they ask you to show your working, it's not the correct way and you get the wrong, they're like, it doesn't count because you worked it out wrong. And I'm like, I'm that kid that didn't work it out right, but somehow came to the right answer at the end of the process.
I feel great solidarity right now as also someone who, I wouldn't say excelled at maths.
But, just tell us you were really good at it.
Absolutely not. It would go in one ear and out the other.
I know.
In milliseconds. So
I feel you, gal.
Yeah, I'm all for finding the path that best suits you as an individual and as a creative, because there are so many ways to cook an omelette or whichever. is the phrase.
People use.
We have another question actually. As you're just buzzing through, whizzing through, I should say, this illustration. So I think I can throw another one your way.
Hit me.
From Flynn, do clients typically ask for illustrations for their brand, or does including illustrations come from the studio?
So we actually obviously offer a lot of packages at Pink Pony, and some of them do include illustrations, some of them don't. Something we've recently found though, obviously styles, trends change, but something that has actually stuck around for ages is that whole minimalist. It's that minimalist style that does work so well for so many brands, keeping things minimal, not having too many assets, keeping it clean. And I think we're very particular when we go and we create a direction for a client and see whether we think illustrations is the right road for them, because sometimes illustrations aren't going to work, especially if they're not easy for the client to use or implement, or they don't make sense within the branding. Whereas some people, the illustrations are what kind of gives it personality. And I think with this brand, that's really what we've found, that illustrations add that element of fun and personability that changes it from a kind of corporate finance company that wants to work with people that don't know what they're doing to a fun, personable, accessible brand that people feel like they can go and talk to, that are going to really help them, take care of them. And, you know, it adds an extra element. Illustration can add or take away from a brand. And I think it's really important to be able to distinguish between the two and for what type of brand it is. And is an illustration going to make it better, or is it going to make it look cheap? Is it going to make it look too busy? Is it not going to add any value? There's so many different ways to think about it.
Yeah, that's an excellent answer.
Lovely.
Very, very eloquent way of saying it depends.
It really does.
Which, no, I prefer your version, honestly. Because, with something like as abstract as it can be, especially for people like me with finance, it's great to have, a sort of a face, or like a face to the brand to interact with that isn't, an intimidating authority figure that is like, spend your money well, but instead this series of anthropomorphized cuties
exactly
is just very much preferred, and I think
who wouldn't want a little anthropomorphized cutie?
Right. I'll take one of those all day every day.
I was saying, I think I would feel with illustration, I was trying to tell someone, again, topical for those of you who watch TV, the new live action of Avatar. I was talking to someone the other day about how the difference between good illustration and how it can enhance a brand is like the difference between a live action film and its animated counterpart. You can live action something and it can turn out amazingly, but there is a sense of magic that you can create in animation and illustration in that kind of creative medium that you just cannot replicate. I don't care how much CGI you use, and this is my digital design coming out. I don't care how much CGI you use, it will never quite be the same as what something animated or illustrated can be, and that world it creates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting comparison that, I mean, makes complete sense once you think about it, but just not one that I've ever considered.
Yeah, it is different. How am I going to draw this bad boy? Ooh, little disco arms. I hope everyone likes disco.
Absolutely.
Got some lo-fi. I was talking to someone the other day, speaking of this lovely lo-fi music and how it reminds me of my university days. I love designing to music, but to different music depending on the brand or design I'm working on, because I feel like it affects how I design.
100%.
But
What is your go-to music nowadays for listening
well,
to?
I like a good podcast, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go away, lady. We're not ready for you yet. I would say it depends. Like, we've been working on some really funky, edgy brands at the moment, and if I was to work on one of those, it would have to be. We've got to have some Nicki Minaj in there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to a lot of what's his name? Of T-Pain. I've rediscovered T-Pain.
Wow.
So, you know, I'm going back to my 2000s roots. It's got to be some gangster stuff. Whereas, I'm just going to leave that like that for now. Whereas if I was going to be designing something like this, something poppy, something fun, something really kind of in line with the vibe of the brand, I feel like it just makes my designs better. You know what I mean? I don't know how, but it does.
It's the vibes.
Yeah, it's the vibes. It gets it going. It gets it going for sure.
Absolutely. And is that music sort of on speaker in the studio, or does everyone...
We do have a good speaker. Well, because I'm obviously working remote at the moment, but we've got a fantastic speaker in the studio, which we use quite often. But then also a good headphones. Sometimes I really need the music to just be like blasting into my head. You know, the world needs to be away from me.
Yes. And be just zoned in and focused on the work at hand.
Exactly.
For sure. We do have a request actually from Ashley. But before that, I'm just going to say, well, hello, Ashley. Welcome to the stream. And Alejandra as well. And let's see, Nathan. I'm not sure if I missed saying hi, but hello. Welcome. We are here, of course, with Gabby on International Women's Day, creating some funky and adorable characters for a client of yours. And if anyone has any questions about creating illustrations for brands or using Illustrator to illustrate, feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them. But your request from Ashley, who I sense might also be a colleague of yours, is, can you make them into cowboy boots, please?
Oh, I can definitely make them into cowboy boots.
Excellent.
Let me leave the fringe. She can have half a bang for now. Oh, cowboy boots. Okay, we're gonna add, I'm gonna take this bad boy up. We've got to keep it topical in the pink pony world. To be honest, if cowboy was a entrepreneurial type of business, they all would have been cowboys.
Just like Ken's job is beach, your job is cowboy?
My job is cowboy.
Excellent.
Has to be done. Should be part of the uniform, to be honest.
Honestly, Christy, keep notes.
Yeah. Cowboy boots for everyone.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Custom painted or embroidered, that would be beautiful.
That'd be amazing. Like those custom painted leather jackets they have.
Exactly. You know, great minds think alike.
Yes.
In terms of sort of the construction of these illustrations, we had a conversation the other day with Annika about using Pathfinder tool or the Shape Builder tool. And do you have a preference for either? Do you find yourself leaning more or less to
illustrations like this? I probably would use the Shape Builder tool more. I do like the Pathfinder tool, but I always, and this is going to sound bad, don't trust me on this, but I forget about it quite a bit. I think I forget about a lot of things, and I will really do it, create a design in the simplest possible way, like the most rudimentary. It's almost as if I've never used this platform before. But and then at the end, I'm always like, oh, I really probably could have done it that way. Or especially, well, again, our brand of creating different brands, and always we work with so many companies, always having to create new stuff and come up with the next style or a style that fits a particular brand when you've never worked with a brand like it. You're always looking for new ways to do things, for new styles of illustration. So honestly, with a lot of the stuff I'll do, it's always a new style to me. So I'm always having to figure out how is best to do it as I go. And then by the end, I know. But usually it takes a while to get there. So it's all experimentational until I figure it out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And this might be an obvious yes or no question, but do you draw in your free time, or is it just for the brands?
I do draw in my free time. I actually do a lot of digital painting in my free time. I quite like a good little digital paint. It's very emo of me, but I love, chucking on some sad girl music, putting my headphones on and painting for hours into the night.
Yes.
But I probably don't do it as much as I used to. I used to do it heaps when my job wasn't designing. And now I kind of don't have to do it as much because I really get, like, again, with a lot of the brands I specifically work with in the company, it is all illustration. So I get a lot of
sad girl illustration fix.
Yeah, I get
work.
Look at these. All of these were created with sadness and upset on the brain, if you can't tell.
Just existential dread.
Yes.
For all of them.
Look at that face. Oh, if I haven't frozen it, look at this face. If that doesn't scream help, I don't know what will.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks.
We've got another question from Hannah. Where do you get your illustration inspiration from for each brand? And how do you make sure they're different styles depending on the brand?
Well, what we do a lot of, I'm a Pinterest girly. I love it. We love a bit of Pinterest. But also something I find really useful is actually doing research into, I do a lot of looking at comic books or looking at art books. I like a lot of visual kind of comics or novels. So there's always an element of looking at new styles that pop up there. But then Behance, fantastic, obviously, plug that. Other stylists, Instagrams. And then it's always making it something new and something fun and something different really comes into the kind of content you're creating and how you can work a style around a certain element, how to make it different, how to add a new twist on how you create it, or whether you use different brushes or whether you use textures. It's always something, just to elevate it that bit more, to really put it in line with the company. It's the company that really makes something more unique in those ways that you represent the company through the illustration that make it something, oh, that's a great way to do that, or that's an interesting way they've done that, and they've done it because of this, I see. If you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great.
She has a high pony.
I love it.
Just
I remember
those. Oh yeah.
Mine is borderline a high pony, I would say, but my hair is too short for a proper high ponytail.
That is okay. They have hair extensions for that.
That is very true. Oh, could you imagine pink? Neon pink hair extensions. Incredible.
Iconic. They used to, remember the little plaits you could get clips for?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I see it in your future.
I think it is.
I
see it as well. But speaking of future, we do have a question that is related to it. Do you have any advice for illustrators wanting to work with a studio or agency? How do you get noticed by Pink Pony?
I'll answer how I got noticed by Pink Pony. I actually think I remember Christy telling me, obviously, when I applied for Pink Pony, I was not expecting to get the job. I, again, had no graphic design experience. All I had, actually, can I pull my Instagram up for a second?
Absolutely.
I'm going to do it. So, to answer your question, all I had in my portfolio, I had more than this, but was illustration. I did a lot of print work. I did a lot of digital art that I was actually able to animate quite a bit of it as well. But, you know, all kind of fun graphical styles that were very funky. I'd done some packaging work for companies in New Zealand, some fun stuff. But essentially all I had was this portfolio of art that I'd created for fun. So I went to Christie with that and also, you know, chucked a couple of titles on some of them and pretended it was a poster, as you do. You do what you got to do.
You do, absolutely do.
And then basically had a chat with her. I'm lucky enough that Christie is someone that really values having people in office with her. So I was in the area. I actually moved into the area for the job eventually. And went, chatted to her, did my wee little tester, and was lucky enough to get in. And I think for getting a job in an agency, oh no, I stole his arm. That's okay. Goodbye. But for getting a job in an agency, it's really important to just work to your strengths. Don't try and be something you're not. Like, if illustration is your thing, really put it out there. Show them what you've done. Be passionate about it. Talk about how you think your illustration work will help brands. Just basically put it into context is what I would say. Put it into context. Really be proud of your work. Be willing to learn, and you'll be so fine.
Amazing. That's fantastic advice.
Yeah.
Really love that.
Now, what I'm going to do with this one, I'm actually going to copy her. I'll just focus on this gal for now. And I'm going to create some layers.
Excellent. Yes, I do. Checking on the time, because time always flies when you're doing streams. And it's a blessing and a curse. But we are, I would say, oh boy, 20 minutes remaining, roughly.
Oh, lovely.
I would
Perfect.
say. Flynn, please correct me if I did that math wrong. About 20, yes.
Amazing. So what I'm going to do here with this brand, obviously, I should really put a purple background on this. They've got the little white background, so we're going to add some layers here. What I'm going to do is just expand the girly. Okay, and I'm going to fill up with shapes. There's so many different ways you could do this, but I am going to fill her up with the shape builder. Bam, bam. I quite like doing this. It's helping my inner child coloring book phase.
Yes.
You know, I'm just like, wee, fill in all the bits. It's great, like a little game.
Absolutely. Would you ever do create a coloring book?
I think I would. I feel like it'd be fun. I'd love to do one of those ones where you fill in the colors and you don't really know what it is until it's over.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like color this with this. And then you're like, oh yeah.
I that sounds like a fantastic project to me.
Exactly. It'll be a great time.
I would invest in that in a heartbeat.
I love it. I think it'll be so much fun. I'm just gonna put a purple, there we go. There she is. I'm just gonna chuck a big purple background on there so we can see what we're doing. And chuck it into my backing layer.
And thank you so much, Flynn. Yes, there was a question that I did miss from Gustavo. In the Pink Pony Creative Design Studio, have you implemented any AI in the creative process or not yet?
Have we ever? It's so much fun. I think we would have been like everyone, where once we got our little mitts on the AI, we were excited to get going. I love using the AI to create, I love using the AI to create mock-ups. That's my favorite thing to do. And generative fill, I'm obsessed. Initially, I was terrified you were going to take my job, but you know, it's fine. You can have it if it means I get to do all my little generative fills, because they're so handy.
Please take them.
Yeah,
they're yours.
So handy for mock-ups, for kind of everything you need, getting an idea of like how you can best present. And because again, we work with branding, it's something where we want, when we present branding, we want the clients to see as close to what it's going to look like implemented as possible, which means sometimes, you know, finding stock is really hard. Like if you're working with, like, imagine if you were working with a cookie company that only used those little fish cookies inside them. I'm not going to be able to find photos of that. I need to create that bad boy. So, you know, generative fill is amazing for stuff like that, to really get across the full creative direction you want, essentially.
And that actually very neatly, if you ask me, brings us back to the overarching theme of today, International Women's Day, and the theme of inspire inclusion. And I think what Firefly, for example, has done, and what generative AI has done, is you can more quickly and more easily and more accessibly, that's not a word, create the reference, the stock images that you want to see. So you don't have to rely on the arguably generic ones that you see on that you see other brands use. You can make ones custom for the brand and the message and the audience that you're designing for, which I think is fantastic.
Oof, ignore my little AI having a spaz there. We're just gonna leave that like that so it doesn't have a fit.
Excellent.
I fully agree. It is such an amazing tool, even just for editing photos when you want stuff gone. Outstanding. We also use a lot of AI. We're loving Firefly at the moment, especially also for creating mood boards. So great for creating mood boards, and kind of getting, again, that feel really imbued into whatever we're working on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, how much time do I have? I
will say you have, let's do some maths. Well, closer to 15 than 20 minutes.
Amazing.
No need to stress at all just yet. I'll make sure that you have plenty of heads up and time to work your Illustrator magic.
Amazing. I'm going to just add this girl to my library so it's done. You can see here I've actually added a bunch of my little buddies into there, which I always find is actually really helpful. I use them a lot. She'll pop up probably down there. I use them a lot for bringing assets into the different Adobe suites. Like if I'm animating, I've done some animations of these characters for logos. If I'm ever animating, bringing them in through the library is so much easier than exporting them. It just means as well I can edit them further if I need to.
File management just gets so much easier.
Yes, 100%. I'm gonna add this bad boy up here so I can see her easier. I'm just gonna go and start on the second gal whilst we've still got a little bit of time.
Excellent. And while you do that, we do have another question.
Oh, hit me with it. Hit me with your rhythm stick.
Amazing. So from Christy again, what women are you inspired by for the International Women's Day theme, of course, and they can be in design or not?
Now, is that what we call fishing? I would have to say,
baby.
There is a woman named Christy Campbell that I do look up to quite a lot. Obviously, my boss. I actually looked up to her a lot before she was my boss, which is why I was so excited to get the role. Who else do I look up to? Honestly, this is going to sound really bad. I'm not even a Swiftie, and I know she's just been to Australia. I barely listen to her music, but I can appreciate that is a businesswoman. That is a businesswoman who knows what she's doing.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think if I have anyone else I really look up to. Honestly, I try and surround myself with people that are accessible that I look up to so that I can learn from them a little bit more. Like having people, like the girls I work with, every one of them has something that they're amazing at that I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that. And it's always a reminder to be better at specific things that I want to work on. You know, I look up to them with everything. My boss, I guess my mum. Throw that one in there.
It's a little bit of a putting you on the spot question, I will admit.
No, but yeah,
but
honestly.
It is, I think it's important to think about and also to reflect, because nothing is created in a vacuum, and it is valuable to me anyway to not only know and sort of reference or be inspired by the work of the people that I admire, but also to let them know that I admire them.
Exactly.
Which I think we can definitely, it can't hurt to do more.
Yeah, it never goes amiss. Ever, especially as creatives. I feel like, not to generalize, but creatives, you know, we're always worried about whether we're up to date on the next best thing, or if, you know, people are getting better than us or our work isn't good enough. So always having that kind of element of supporting each other in the industry is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. And thank you, Christy, for your completely omega-3 free, not fishy at all.
Never. And I mean, well, today, hey, shout out, it's actually her birthday.
Is it?
On International Women's Day, so that's how you know.
Incredible. Happy
woman.
birthday. What a
Happy
wonderful day to have a birthday.
I know. It's a good one. It's a good one. There's always going to be something fun going on.
Absolutely. Actually, that brings me to my question that I asked before the stream, but stopped myself because we were saving it for the stream. How is Pink Pony celebrating International Women's Day and also Chrissy's birthday?
Well, celebrating International Women's Day, I think, honestly, mainly it is about celebrating the big boss, because she is so important to us and she's someone that really inspires us all. So I know there's been cake. We ordered a beautiful cake, and there has been cards, some funky little graphic design cards. I think they've just gotten a new game in the office as well, so probably some of that. You know what I mean? But apart, we've got a beautiful cafe that's right by the office, which is a local favorite. You know what I mean? You gotta support small businesses.
Yeah, support local, everyone.
Exactly, support local. But otherwise, keeping on doing what we're doing. We're busy, so making sure that we're on top of clients, communicating with them, creating cool stuff. Yeah.
Amazing. So in a way, it's just like any other.
Exactly. Every day is International Women's Day at the Pink Pony office. It's a fully female team. I think it will stay that way, to be honest. I can't imagine it ever changing. The vibes are high.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Chris is saying in the chat, shout out to Michael from Puff.
Yeah, shout out to Michael from Puff. To be honest, he's an honorary Pink Pony.
Fantastic.
For sure. For sure.
You'll be getting the custom cowboy boots as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. He probably already has some. He's just waiting to get the go-ahead to put them on, to be honest, at this point. He's like, finally. Instant little eyelashes for this girl.
So beautiful.
So cute. And again, very like organic, if you know what I mean. Like, it's nothing, ignore the little lines, nothing super stiff. It is playful, it's easy, it's personable. People are going to look at it and be like, that's adorable, not that's stock.
Absolutely. And that brings us to, I don't know if it's going to be, it won't be our final question, but we do have, if I do the maths, we have about 6 minutes left.
Oh, amazing.
And the question is, it's hard to find your own style of illustration, and honestly, you have a very original style, Gabby. So I'm wondering, do you have any thoughts or advice about finding style or exploring style when it comes to illustration?
I would say it's all about experimenting. I honestly don't even know if I found my style fully. I think it's about trialing different things, learning new things, learning new skills sometimes will be what brings on a, oh my gosh, I could do this like this. And it's the same when you're designing. If it's not necessarily the way everyone else does it, that's how you birth new ways of doing things and new ideas and new styles that could be created through an accident. Like, there's no wrong accident, there's only happy accidents.
Yes.
And usually it comes to something that kind of creates something new and unique and might become your favorite thing to do. If that makes sense, if that helps.
Yeah.
Trial and error, find what you actually enjoy, because there comes a point in every designer's career, I'm sure, where not necessarily the work starts to get boring, but you have been designing for a while, it becomes like any other job. It is a job, and you will find something, you'll find a design style or an illustration style that really kind of lights your fire, and you're like, this is it. So don't worry about what other people think and what your design style should be or your artist style should be. Worry about what you actually enjoy, and when you find the one you enjoy and that you're comfortable, you want to keep doing, you want to be paid for, you're happy to do for the rest of your life, that's the one.
Amazing. And I think also styles change.
Oh yeah,
right? So it's all
you've got to evolve to stay relevant.
Absolutely. Oh, and I think, okay, this might be
the last question.
Our last question. Just I want to make sure that you have all the time to finish this illustration, or we did talk a little bit about bringing it into Express.
I might bring the other one into Express.
If we have the time. But let's say last question for now, but do keep them coming and we'll fit them in if we can. But from Daniel, what piece or pieces of work are you most proud of? Asking the big questions.
I think there's a few brands that actually haven't been released. One of them has. There's a beautiful brand that we actually worked on last year, Hahana, which is actually a company in New Zealand that works with media that I really enjoyed working on. But I will also say, and this might sound sad, I really actually am quite proud of some of my graphic digital art that I did prior to working in graphic design. Like, I will always have a soft spot in my heart for creating like big illustrations that aren't necessarily catered to any specific thing, just have feeling and passion and fun in them, I guess. But I am also so proud, like all of the branding we've done, I'm just so lucky because everyone's different. And I think usually every brand I do, it gets better. I learn something new. I gain something from it. It's just always fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's such a delightful answer.
That's good.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's always fun.
Always fun. It is such a nice job. Such a good job. My partner works in finance and I can't imagine it.
Thankfully, there are jobs for every kind of
person out there.
Equation. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Just give her some fingers. And then I might chuck the other lady. I won't finish this lady up. I'm going to chuck the other lady into Adobe Express.
Excellent.
For fun. But yeah, she's holding a phone. Stunning.
I love it.
I will grab, go into my Chrome, get out of here. I'm going to pull up my Adobe Express, which is fantastic for creating templates. Something that I really love using it for when we create our branding. a lot of the time to kind of get out the feel, figure out what we want the overall look to look like, and create that or curate that, the vibe essentially, is to make a 9 grid in Illustrator. And usually if we're doing things for clients, we'll have to kind of put that across either multiple AI files if we're designing templates. But it's so handy, rather than having to copy and export assets, being able to just upload the AI file straight into here, and it works. Everything just becomes an asset. But I'm literally just going to I've created some baseline templates here, very simple. Again, the branding for this company is so stripped back so that the illustrations really do the talking, and so that it's not too fussy. We want the illustrations to really resonate with the people and give them the vibes. But I'm going to chuck in our new little lady. Bum, bum. And she comes right in there.
Amazing.
I might even flip her. But yeah, this brand really focuses on big illustration, using the space kind of. I might put you around there and size you up, just so that it's really fun and playful and interactive. Oh, I got to get the cowboy boots in. Bam. Celebrating you.
Wonderful.
Business, startups. But yeah, there's so much you can create. And again, we work with the branding, adding in that little bit of illustration. I'll even chuck in something we've already got here. Adding in that element of illustration immediately makes it a little bit more playful, a little bit more fun.
Humanizes the content as well.
Yeah, humanizes the content. It also kind of gives, especially with illustrations like this that are more conceptual, it kind of inspires a little bit in terms of hey, I do that. Maybe this is something that could be good for me. Or if people are looking to start businesses and they don't know how they're going to work around that, they're like, oh, this looks easy. I can do that.
Yeah, much more approachable. But speaking of inspiring, this stream has been inspiring. We are unfortunately at time.
Amazing.
But Gabby, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you on the internet to see more of your work?
On the internet, I'm here on my Instagram. We'll scroll up at Canvas and Bones or the Pink Pony website. We're just about to relaunch a new rebranded website. We've done some photo shoots. We're ready to roll it out, and my work is all across there as well, along with the other girls.
Cannot wait to check that out. But once again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you everyone for joining us now for our completed International Women's Day week extravaganza. It has been absolutely delightful. So please take this as an opportunity to recognize and appreciate the women around you, women identifying, and to maybe do that more than just once a year if you can manage it, which I think we all can. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week for more streams. Sounds good.
Thank you.
See you everyone. Bye.